You're now watching the political segment on The Weekend Show. The government in Nigeria has three major arms of government, which is the executive, the legislative arm, and the judiciary. One of the most important bits to note is that they are meant to act as watchdogs over each other and perform oversight functions. In recent times, the National Assembly has been in the news for different reasons, be it budgeting or internal conversations, or even several voices looking for inclusion within the National Assembly. But what's extremely important is still focusing on the activities of the National Assembly, especially the Senate. A lot of compliance issues are constantly being raised in the country. A lot of implementation issues are being raised. Who is responsible for acting as a watchdog, for checkmating powers beyond what they're expected to do? And is the National Assembly, especially the 10th Senate, actually holding the executive arm accountable, or are they doing the bidding? These are the questions our guests have asked, and this is something which I know the National Assembly is trying to deal with as they have conversations, and they do have a workshop around legislative compliance. But joining us to have this conversation, we will be having an exclusive with Senator Musa Garba Maidoki, who was on this show last week, and we had an extensive conversation. And I can't wait to have a follow-up with you. Welcome back on the show, Senator.
Thank you very much. It's glad to be here.
It's good to have you back after a while, and I'll go straight into it. Being a senator in the 10th Assembly, as a member of the opposition, as someone who defeated a long-term serving member of the Senate, when someone speaks about the National Assembly and the Senate, nobody's talking about Senator Maidoki, they're talking about the Senate. How does this affect you as a senator representing your constituency?
Well, thank you very much. It's an exciting time for me, and it's a new learning all over again. What I learned for these few years is probably more than what I've learned all over my lifetime, particularly when it comes to dealings with government and prioritizing the diverse requirement of Nigerians, of regions, of states, of local government with the meager resources. It's a whole lot of ups and down negotiations, give and take on how to allocate the meager resources to go around the country. Your alliances, your communication skills, your persuasions determines how much you get for people or you don't get anything. And that is a big learning curve. And we are still trying to adjust and fit in. Hopefully, we'll improve over time.
So, something which I must ask you, some Nigerians have said we no longer have an opposition party in Nigeria. It doesn't mean that there are no opposing voices. But the People's Democratic Party currently, just yesterday, the publicity secretary in Ondo State of PDP has put in a resignation which was rejected by his party, saying we need to have conversations and talk about it. All the politicians in Nigeria, and I've not seen if you have started working towards 2027. And I realized that the members of your party, they're now doing this as individuals and not as the People's Democratic Party. Do we actually still have an opposition, or is this now about people deciding to go based on their own ideologies and look out for themselves? And is that sustainable for our democracy?
Thank you very much. I wasn't hoping I was going to talk on...
No, we will talk about this, but we
PDP.
need to touch on...
No, but I will talk,
this,
certainly.
yes.
I came with a mindset that the party will galvanize our positions and give us guidelines and goalposts and KPIs of what they want us to achieve. But unfortunately, I can tell you, I am not sure for these 2 years that I've been into the Senate that we have met with the party to tell us what is their guidelines, what is their no-go area, what they are expected of us to achieve. So it seems that everybody is on his own. No guideline from any direction. And without prejudice to whatever anybody can say, whatever opposition we do is based on our conviction and the need of our people. So we are not galvanized in any way to provide any opposition based on the might of the political party, the PDP, for which we won election. This manifested itself even day one when we were supposed to choose our party leaders. We had expected, or I was told, because as a new member, it's the responsibility of the party to call us and put us together and emerge a leader with the input of the party and the senators. I'm not sure that was done. Everybody who wanted to be was allowed to aspire independently if he gets, without any mandate from our own party, which is the PDP. And I was the first person to raise alarm after the leadership emerged to say I'm thoroughly disappointed with the way and manner for which the leadership of the People's Democratic Party emerged in the Senate. But we close our ranks together. I've said my own point, and we agreed to close the ranks. But I can tell you that as up to this moment, we have not sat down to strategize how we will provide credible opposition to government, the ruling party, and what is our strategy, and what is our objective, or what do we need to achieve in the 10th Senate for the PDP.
Thank you very much, Senator. Now let's talk about the Senate, the 10th Senate. And we've mentioned oversight function, legislative compliance, compliance with laws and the Senate's legislative resolutions. We've had situations in the past where sometimes the Senate would have a resolution, even invite some members of the executive to the National Assembly, and some of them don't show up. I recall last year watching a video of the former Minister of Women Affairs having a confrontation of sorts with members of the House of Reps. And I know for a fact that there's a workshop, there's the second workshop on federal government agencies complying with these legislative functions and resolutions. What is the aim of this workshop?
Okay, before I go to that aim of the workshop, let me say one thing that you've raised. We have a system problem in the whole country, and particularly in the Senate. When everybody who came to the Senate came with a preconceived idea of how things work, not necessarily of how actually they work. And that trying to galvanize, to bring everybody to a position where the rules of the Senate is imbibed and followed takes time. So it's not that any committee, you do not have to fight with any MDA. We are achieving the same objective. We don't have different objectives. But how you communicate your objective matters a lot. And these are some of the skill gaps to me that are lacking within the Senate, so that every senator is at par. You don't have to have a shouting match with anybody for whom you have the same objective and probably have different understanding of how to achieve those objectives. The Senate has their own rules and have ways of bringing those who are aired to line. It doesn't have to resort to shouting match. No. We have the Senate resolution. If any MDA refuses to follow the laws or the resolutions, you can still call the MDA to the Senate chambers to explain. Probably he has reasons which we might not have thought about. And where extreme cases of non-compliance or are revealed, we have different ways of mitigating those situations without calling each other name. We are empowered to stop the budget of the MDA, which we can raise a solution of no confidence on the MDA for which non-compliance is being achieved. But far more than that, it's not just sufficient to say we have no confidence on you. It might be subjective. You have to itemize key criteria that that MDA had not complied with or had failed to comply with, and we should not personalize it. You are found wanting here, you are found wanting here, money is missing here, promotion is not done here. If you establish it and you raise it up, everybody in the country will support you, knowing that things that are germane to the concern of Nigerians are what are raised. And I'm sure if you take it to the president, he will not take it lightly on any of those his lieutenants who has shown those type of. If you just call him and start shouting matches without giving some parameters for which he has not met or he has failed to meet, then everybody is allowed then to put in only opinion and rumors begin to fly in. So we are trying to improve to the Senate. Now, setting minimum requirement before you said A to any MDA, please have a matrix of issues that he's supposed to have complied with, which he has not complied or he has failed. And please focus on those issues, not on the person. Focus on the message, not the messenger. And that is our working guideline now.
Senator, you said something at the beginning of this conversation, and you've said it again about having guidelines, KPIs, and indicators, basically, where people can measure themselves against, and where we can also measure you people. And a key part of what you mentioned was skills and training, especially even the new senators and older senators, on processes and how things should be done, not just the red book where we just hear this is according to the rules, but while that is being done, and I do commend it, I really wonder if the deterrents the Senate has are enough. One of the times where the National Assembly has the strongest powers is when they're doing screening of ministerial appointees and nominees. I recall the Honorable Minister Festus Keyamo, during his screening, initially he was rejected and he had to come apologize because in the previous Senate he had been invited and he didn't come. And I must say he's doing reasonably well right now.
Very well, very well.
I must commend him, people like Olubumi, and there are some of them who are doing really good work. But you people had to put him through that process. Now you have some of these MDs and ministries where you have a resolution, but it's just like an advice. It's just like a document saying, we want you to do this. Is any of this enforceable? And do you think that until we make the deterrence a bit more enforceable, then we'll get change? Or we just need to continue in a form of advocacy?
Thank you very much. You know, we had a series of discussions with MDA. The number one focus of Senate Committee on Compliance is the law of the land. Law has no face. You either comply or you don't comply, and you cannot comply halfway. Sometimes situations arise within the MDA that probably make it very challenging for compliance. I'll give you an example. We have the Procurement Act. Up to now, it's not been complied with 100%. We have engaged the Attorney General of the Federation, who I believe is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer or the Chief Compliance Officer of the federal government. We've listened to their complaints, to the reservations they are having in certain aspects of the law. So, and some of them are very important and incisive, for which when the law was crafted, was not envisaged. And we have started discussing with the Office of the Attorney General, for which all those laws that are having issues in the implementation, either because of the public outcry or because of shortages of or gaps in resources or expertise, that we need to review them so that we might not be seen to be non-compliant. If you Google at the level of compliance of the Nigerian Federation, is at 14%,
Yes.
out of 100. This is what we met on the ground. Rome is not built in one day. Systems need to be in place, attitude needs to be changed, skills need to be improved. But I can tell you, we have assurance of the president of this country that misconduct will not be tolerated. You are, as a journalist, you saw what happened in the last regimes where ministers were above the law. And you see what is happening right now. Whatever, the comparison is just, no minister now comes out to do things in such bizarre manner as to insult the sensitivity of Nigerian or Nigerian institution. You can see moderation coming in now. So these are what are our gains, and these are what we want to build on. So it's a journey, and improvement is a continuous process. You never, nothing gets perfect. Every time there is room for you to improve. But I'm happy to say all our circulars to all the MDAs have a reasonable response. We still have few, and we are working on them. We notice skill gaps. We notice systematic problem within the MDAs, that even when some officers feel something needs to be done, the system is so endemic that it refused to allow those who are willing to move forward. And all this will be taken in totality. And this is part of the workshop, so that we can talk to each other, understand the requirement of the law, understand your constraint in whatever form, either skill, resources, manpower, then create a roadmap between the two of us. And then you start reporting along that roadmap to make sure you have achieved. On the Senate resolutions, we have a series of workshops. Senate represent Nigerians. We are the people. How many people have the governor's phone number or the president's phone number? But I tell you, in my constituency alone, I have more than 5,000 people that call me or send texts or send WhatsApp messages. So we know how they feel. Sometimes when we make resolutions are not backed by law. But we are telling government, this is the thinking of our people. We want you to recalibrate your work and take into cognizance these concerns so that we will all go in the same direction. And mind you, if Nigerians do not own democracy, I think we have failed as a nation. And the only way Nigerians can own democracy is when they complain to us, and in the wisdom of the Senate, that a resolution needs to be made to help the government that this is the way Nigerians are thinking, and we want you to recalibrate and take this into consideration. I think we are serving the same purpose.
Yeah, Senator, thank you very much. And we've just shared that on the screen about the second workshop for federal government and agencies. And I'm quite aware that there's the executive chairman of the FIRS who would be attending, the Nigerian Bar Association, who have ties with the Attorney General, like you've mentioned, the chairman of the EFCC, yourself as well will be there, the CBN, the Minister of Finance as well, distinguished Senator Aminu Tambuwal. And so all of you will be at this sharing your own thoughts to ensure that we have a better process. And so this now fills the skill gap which you have mentioned. And we will be following up with you to know the outcomes of all of that, and especially with what you've said about resolutions, because like you now, I'm more interested in how can this become enforceable, that we can see change. But before we let you go, as a senator representing your constituents, what do you want your legacy as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to be when you finally take off your hat and say, I've paid my dues?
Thank you very much. For me, when I took over the position of compliance, I was given one-page document. That was my handover. Today, if I'm leaving, I have over 100 files. We are developing a system of reporting so that annually Nigerians will know how each MDA stands when it comes to compliance with the laws, with the processes, with the circulars of government. And every person, we want Nigerians to own this process. We are establishing our own platform where Nigerians can report non-compliance, and we will directly send people to go and investigate those things. We are developing a system of quarterly reporting by each MDA so that those reports will be analyzed and the MDAs will be ranked. So if those systems work, we expect Nigerians to begin to see the fruit of governance. And if that is the only legacy I leave, improving the system. The good thing about system, if you develop system, once the system is working, you do not have room to maneuver too much out of the goalpost. And as for 2027, to me, I think my greatest focus for now is I have 4 years. What will I be able to deliver to this country in 4 years? What will I be able to deliver to my people as dividend of democracy for which they have confidence in me? Anything after, it will take care of itself. That's why I do not feel shy to state my mind clearly, either in the Senate or to the Nigerian press, and you can attest to that.
Yes.
I do not attend any interview where I was given questions to be
I was
asked.
about to say that because you didn't even expect me to ask you about your party and the like.
Because
yes.
I write you as the grassroots who has contact with the grassroots to tell me what the grassroots is saying.
Yes.
And I owe you a duty to respond to it as honest, as sincere as I can.
Senator, thank you so much. We will. Thanks for always honoring our invitation and for answering honestly and objectively. You've been a teacher, you've been a farmer, and so you understand what the people are going through. You listen to. You have over 5,000 people reaching out to you every day, and I know you also have your own challenges within the system, within the National Assembly. But legacy is important. On our part, we'll continue to hold you accountable, and we do expect you to continue to hold the leadership of the National Assembly accountable, not because of party, but because of who you are as a person, and for the average Nigerian who just wants a meal and a roof over their head. We wish you all the best with the event, the workshop, which will be happening, I think, on the 15th and 16th at the NAF Conference Center in Abuja. We look forward to the resolutions. I want to say well done for all that you do.
Thank you very much. Just as a final closing, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Senate President. Apart from being in the 10th Senate, apart from hearing his name on the news, I don't know him. But I honestly believe that that person is a good man. He has a good heart. He might joke a lot and say things that, but I tell you, he's a patriot. He's a person who is passionate. Severally, he called me, say, I'm proud of your job. You have made the Senate proud. Please keep it up. And when I have cause to say the resources that are given to me in the Senate are not adequate, because I have to have a secretariat outside the Senate made of professionals and equipment so that this job can be systematized. The Senate President did not hesitate to increase our monthly allocation by over 1,000-fold so that we can set up the secretariat outside the Senate. And in every conference or seminar we are going, the Senate President, if he's not there himself, he has written a paper himself which is designated senior Senate leadership to deliver on his behalf. I need to thank him for this, and whatever we achieve is not for me alone. He is the chief compliance officer of the Senate. Whatever I achieve is because he supports. If he doesn't support, there will not be compliance in the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Musa Garba Maidoki, Senator representing Kebbi South Senatorial District in the National Assembly. Always a pleasure having a conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
We'll switch over to Emeka Ozorumba for our poetic interlude while the show continues. We'll see you shortly after this.